First of all, just that news just hot off the press that Melania Trump is visiting one of these detention facilities. What is your reaction to that? Does that look like a sort of a bit of a PR exercise by the White House, her going down there to talk to those officials who are looking after the children?
I believe it's part of the theater because she's actually not at the initial border sites where you sort of see the children in cages. She's at the after staging site where the kids have already been separated from the parents. So it's not exactly seeing what's going on. And that's part of the problem, that no reporter has actually been able to get into the direct facilities of how the children are treated when they immediately cross the border and right after the immediate separation of their parents. So it's pretty much part of the theater.
And what is your reaction to the president's decision, this U-turn effectively, to abandon that policy of separation, which has caused so much outrage around the world?
I think the media is giving the president too much credit because he didn't actually do a U-turn. What he did was a theater, once again, and a stunt. He basically signed an order that said they have the discretion to try to do that. If you read deep within it, it says, as applicable by the law. In addition to that, what he basically had said in that executive order was to ask the Attorney General to go back to a court decision that was decided 20 years ago, to have them overturn the holding of that decision so that they can require now that the parents and the kids be held indefinitely in these detention centers, which if the court decided 20 years ago that this was not the appropriate thing for the welfare of a child, it's most likely not going to overturn. So what the president has done is basically kick the can to the judiciary so that when, in fact, these families are in a detained center for longer than 20 days and they need to release the kid, that the president can say, it's not me, it's the courts that's requiring me to separate these families.
And what about the children who've already been separated from their parents, at more than 2,000 we gather? How easy or difficult is it going to be to reunite them with their families?
We just heard from your own reporting that at the facility they said it averages around 42 days, and we're not really having that same hearing from the attorneys on the ground. But no one knows, because the problem is the parent may be in California and the children may be in Chicago, and there's no link in between them. So I would sort of say I would need more information and facts about it taking 42 days to reunite you with your child. But 42 days is a very long time for a parent to be away from their child.
Yeah, I mean, how much damage do you think that does to a family, to a child separated from their parents?
Irreparable damage to both the parent and the child. We can all be or relate to when we were children lost in a store and we couldn't find our parents for moments or minutes, and how hastily we acted. So we can see how devastating that will be on those individuals.
There is a tension here, isn't there? Because a huge number of voters in the United States clearly do want a tougher policy on immigration. But at the same time, we know that this separation of children from their families has been very unpopular. People have found it very distressing.
I think that the whole concept of there being a tougher stance on immigration is a fiction in itself. Thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people enter our country every day. So a couple of hundred or a couple of thousand people entering at the border in Mexico to be sorted for a legal process to enter the United States should not be a problem for this country. The crisis is just created on a political background to sort of gain political willpower to say you're doing something, when in fact nothing's really happening.
Well, Alan Orr, very grateful to you for your time. Thank you so much, Vice President of the American Immigration Lawyers Association. Good to talk to you.